Hello. Well, you join me in rather uncertain times. Nobody quite knows what's going on, and it all feels strangely apocalyptic at the moment. But if we're going to be locked in our houses for a few months, what can you do but listen to music, I suppose? So I've got a few things to share. I'm pretty upset at the moment because lots of grand plans that I had have all sadly had to be put aside. So first thing, and I don't know if it's been officially announced, but my tickets I had to go and see Gal Costa at the end of this month are looking very unlikely. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'll just have to console myself with a bit of Gal Costa on record. Here's a nice album. Cantar is one of her albums, a bit after the sort of high point of all the big psychedelic and tropicalia releases. But this is a really nice one. This is her moving into proper pop territory, but it's got some beautiful stuff on this record. Not least, if I have a look, there's a nice version of the Jardinato song, Ara, or Aha, I think you say in Portuguese, the frog, otherwise known as, and some really good stuff on this one. Definitely recommend. Not a very easy album to get, but a nice one to have. I would have liked to have seen her, although I have been told that going to see a Gal Costa concert is basically like a karaoke session, so it's hard to actually hear anything she says, so maybe I'm not missing out on too much. But the thing that had me most upset really is I was planning to go to Colombia next month, and I think that's off now as well. So I was hoping to go there, and I can go to my favourite spots in Bogota to get lots of great records there. But looks like it's not going to happen. So I shall have to content myself with some nice little things. So I've got some Colombian music to show. Here's a nice one. It's a very curious group. If you can see there, Wganda Kenya is the name of the group. Wganda Kenya sounds like it's very African, but it's actually from Colombia. The thing is that maybe people don't know that on the coast of Colombia, African music is a huge thing. And even now, a lot of the big pop releases that come from there find their inspiration from African music. Music called champeta, which is a sort of very heavily African influenced Caribbean style of music, comes from there. Now this is on the Discos Fuentes album label, very emblematic label from Colombia. And Wganda Kenya were basically a studio band put together to make African sounding records. And it's great. I mean, they're highly sought after. A lot of their albums are very expensive because they have a real swing to them. And I mean, it's lovely. This is actually two really good songs. La Pibona, which is a version. There's an original African version of this song, and they've kind of changed the title a bit and done their own thing, which is really nice. And then this one, Suavecito, which sounds very Caribbean in style, but again, it's got the African thing. I think it's slightly taken inspiration from the French Caribbean, because they sing on this, but they just sing in like invented sounds basically. I don't think they're actually saying anything, but it sounds like they're singing in a language. It's a very common thing. They're an interesting band as well, because this is from the late 70s, and they had this amazing synthesizer in the studio as well to make some really interesting stuff. So definitely worth checking out. And if we're going to talk about Discos Fuentes, you can't go without talking about Fruco, who is basically the legend. And I've showed this record already, haven't I? Well, here, I'm showing it again. But anyway, lovely record. I was hoping to see if I could pick up a few more Fruco albums in. Have I shown that one? Or maybe I haven't actually. I think I showed another Fruco album. This one's great. There's the gang as usual, Fruco in the middle with hair. Famously, he wears a toupee these days. There's Joey Arroyo and Wilson Salco, his singers. Joey the main man as always. And this is one of his most one of their most emblematic releases, and it's not, if you're in Colombia, it's not a difficult record to get, and it's wonderful. It's got some really great stuff. I think the other one I showed was the yellow one, which is perhaps a little more funky. This is a bit more salsa-y, perhaps. Yeah, I'd say so. But it's got that Caribbean swing to it. It's beautiful music, highly recommended. Sticking with the salsa, this is a record I was really pleased to pick up for £2 in the Music Exchange in was it Notting Hill or Greenwich? I can't remember. But it doesn't look very promising. From 1987, I think you can tell. This is Daniel Ponce, not Ponce, Arawi. He's a percussionist, or was a percussionist, sadly passed away. And this album has the best and the worst of great Latin music. There's 3 blinding tracks here. The title track is fantastic. Aromi, beautiful dancing track there. And this other track, Holiday, which has some really aggressive flutes on it. And there's a lot of flutes, and I do love a flute. So there's some really great stuff. There's some awful sort of pop attempts on here as well, which don't really drop. But when it's good, this album is absolutely fantastic. And for £2, oh, bring it on. Another one I picked up recently is Charlie Palmieri. Charlie Palmieri is one of my absolute heroes. This was released on the Mr. Bongo label sometime in the late 90s or something like that. Yeah, I went to the Bongo shop, the Mr. Bongo shop in Brighton a couple of years ago, and I asked if they had this, and they said, oh, no, we don't have that anymore. It seems to be from another time in their existence. But I managed to pick this up in a market stall near my work, which was great. I was really pleased. I did have it on CD, but it's a wonderful piece. It's just studio recordings done, sort of late night jam sessions done in a recording, not in a recording studio, actually in a radio studio. And this was Charlie when he was still alive. I think he died in the late 80s, so just before he died, and just with a gang of musicians making great music. And Charlie Palmieri is always best when it's just him and a band jamming. My other album, which I did show a long time ago, A Giant Step, I think it's called, is just him and a few musicians just bursting it out. With Charlie, you don't really need singers or anything like that. When it's great, it's just fantastic. So that doesn't look perhaps very promising from the cover, but it's a fantastic album, definitely worth checking out. So that's going to be all my salsa for now. I won't be able to dance properly like I would if I was in Colombia having a good time, but never mind. Hopefully we'll get the chance to go later on this year. We'll see how it goes. Other things I've been listening to lately. Well, this was a nice thing that I got. Maxi, classic Rare Groove album. Sticking to my more usual territory. Obviously, this is very famous in this country because of the song Lover to Lover, which is a house party favourite, and also has some actually really good stuff. She's a really good singer. She only made this one album on Blue Note, but it's got some really nice stuff. The style of singing, I'd compare her to Minnie Riperton, I think. The way she sings, she doesn't have all those high notes and the amazing range that Minnie Riperton had, but it's really great and it's just beautiful stuff. Gene Page production, can't go wrong really. And Lover to Lover is obviously the big song, but there's some really nice stuff on here as well. It works as a whole album, and I'm really pleased to have that. And speaking of Lover to Lover, it's actually a cover version, if you didn't know that, because the original is on this. This is Bobby Hutcherson, right? Bobby Humphrey, beg your pardon, Bobby Humphrey. And this is one of her, perhaps not as well known as some of her other stuff, her Blue Note. I think she did on Blue Note as well, with the Mizzle brothers. Mizzle? But this has actually got that same sound, but it's with different people. And it's got the original of Lover to Lover. And it's really nice. I mean, it's not quite got the swagger of the maxi version, but it does have some really nice stuff on it and some beautiful flute playing. It's really nice. Quite a pop album, but when it's good, it's really nice. So there we go. Tailor-made on Epic. Really nice. And just to throw in a reggae record at the end, because it's one I've been hunting for ages, and I managed to find it. There it is, Freddie McGregor. Joggin. Are we living in Armageddon times? Jogging on the sand. Classic lyrics to this. tick track, was it Chris Track shoes and a tick bobby sock, wearing the Puma, the Adidas. This is the one. It's a beautiful version. It's actually I think a re-recording. There are older versions of this, but this is the Tough Gong Discomix version. Absolutely outstanding. A must-have for everyone, I'd say. Anyway, hopefully I'll be a bit more cheerful next time I make a video. But anyway, here's a few clips. See how it goes. didn't quite realise how fitting those lyrics are for the times we're living in. But anyway, all the best. Keep washing your hands. Stay safe. See you next time.